And that again is a meeting on Thursday at 6 o'clock. Then we move on to B1, which is to approve the personnel report. It's found beginning on page 67. Dave, is there anything of note? Oh, sorry.
Just a quick question. I think I heard you say you'll take public comment on this at the board meeting on the 20th. We do have an individual indicating they want to make public comment on this agenda item. Would you like me to? Okay. So we have a raised hand from Ezra Shearer. Go ahead and unmute.
Evening, thank you. Ezra Shearer, Ezrashearer. I'm wondering if the Board of Trustees will publish line item budgets. They're available via public information requests, and they're a little bit revealing in terms of how we are spending our money and allocating our funds. For example, the piloted Engage New York, which is not a district-adopted high school curriculum, is being spent for tens of thousands of dollars in this district every year. But, you know, we're just spending the money there. So if we publish line item reports, the public could see how our money was actually being spent, which might be good, especially in times of crisis like this. So I'm just wondering why we can't publish line item reports so we can see that the Department of Teaching and Learning spent $3,000 on 3-ring binders from Amazon.com instead of using the warehouse, and why special ed teachers asked to go to the PTO for supplies instead of being supplied those supplies by the district. You ask us to do everything. District gets to buy whatever they want. Classroom teachers, we don't have choices. Building budgets, classroom dollars, and now we gotta buy our own masks so I don't infect my daughter and family with COVID-19. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Publish line item budgets so we can see where we're really spending the money. That'd be nice. Thank you.
Do you see any other public comment? I see that Hatton is shaking her head no. So then we'll move on to B1, approving the personnel report that is found beginning on page 67. And Dave, is there anything of note? We see this on a regular basis.
No, there isn't. No, it's a normal monthly report.
Thanks. So is there a motion to approve the items on the personnel report that's found in the agenda? I see a hand raised by Trustee Lorenzen.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
So Dave, I'm wondering if the problems with the pandemic have impeded the teacher's ability to get advanced education this summer? Has it reduced our cost in steps and lanes because they couldn't get their summer programs?
I haven't looked at all of the different requests we've had. We're running those numbers in September. We have a deadline of September 1st for when staff can provide horizontal changes. Is that what you're asking about, those? So we have been seeing those throughout the course of this summer, and I actually have a few sitting on my desk for approval, but we have a September 1st deadline, and we tend to see them towards the end of that. So I could probably comment on that in September more accurately.
I'm sorry, can I just ask if I heard that question correctly? I'm not sure if I heard Trustee Lorenzen. Was she asking if teachers who weren't able to complete their planned educational opportunities, if we're saving money as a district because of that? Was that the question?
I was only asking if they had not been able to proceed, to complete their plans. That was my question.
Trustee Decker, were you able to hear the question then?
I did when you repeated it, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so any other questions? Seeing none, sorry. So is there a motion to approve the items on the personnel report that's found? Moved by Trustee Wake, is there a second? Seconded by Trustee McDonald. All those in favor, please, or is there any trustee comment first? And we don't comment on individuals in the report, but if there's any general comment. Any public comment, and the same caveat, we do not comment on any individuals, just general public comment on approval of the report. I see Hatton shaking her head no. So all trustees in favor of the motion to approve the items on the personnel report provided, please indicate by raising your hand. And somehow I'm not seeing trustee Decker.
She has her hand raised.
Okay, so it is unanimous as to all trustees present. Then we move on to 8A1, which is old business, which is to approve the lease of the unleased portion of Cold Springs Elementary. This is an elementary trustee action item. The recommendation is that the trustees approve the lease agreement with Studio M for use of a portion of the Cold Springs School in operation of a dance studio. So Pat or Dr. Watson, I don't know who wants to.
Go ahead. So the board talked about this at the July 14th meeting. This was a request, as mentioned, to lease a portion of the Cold Springs School. That school is about 51,000 square feet. The majority is currently leased to Early Childhood Center, approximately 30+ thousand square feet. This request is for about the remainder of the building. It excludes the historical building that's located on the north end of that property, but otherwise would be 11 classrooms and a set of bathrooms to operate the dance studio. The rental request would be for 5 years. It would be at $3 per square foot, which would work out to be about $33,000 per year, plus a sharing of the utility costs with the existing tenant. So they're hoping to take possession of the space and to begin operating their studio this week, if approved by the board. The other terms would be consistent with the lease that we currently have of the Cold Springs property regarding maintenance, improvements, the subleasing and assignment of the property and some of the other terms. So we're recommending that the board approve that lease of that portion of this property.
Any questions? Trustee Lorenzen?
I guess my question is for Dr. Watson. Is there any chance we could need this space? And given that we're in an emergency, should we retain this space for ourselves?
It's a good question. I don't quite know how to answer that. I would tell you that we may need the space for extra room, but quite honestly, when you start looking at other spaces, you're just spreading out your staff across multiple buildings. It just creates other problems. I mean, I've always been a proponent of trying to maintain kids in the building, even in the middle of this pandemic, is to try to keep kids in the building rather than spreading them out across other buildings. So I don't foresee a use during the school day. I suppose you could make the argument that it could be used for childcare, but a portion of the building is already being used for childcare. And that childcare provider is one of the childcare providers that stepped up and said that he'd be willing to try to support during the day option for us. So I have a feeling that a portion of that building will already be used for during the day childcare once we can get that worked out. So I guess my immediate response is no, I don't foresee that we're going to need this space. And I think this is a compatible use to the current tenant. I think it makes a lot of sense in that respect, and I support the recommendation.
Any other questions? Okay, Trustee Decker, sorry, I've lost you on my screen, so thank you,
That's
Hatton.
okay. Thanks, Marcia. My screen's gotten awfully dark too. It's so late. Question really is similar to Trustee Lorenzen's in that I'm obviously thinking about all the spaces that we might be able to pull into service with our community partners to meet some of the needs that children and families will clearly have as we try to support them with both learning but also their needs while their families are working and so on. So my question is whether I understand that we're deep in conversation with this entity, and we did hear from them previously, but we were in a little bit of a different situation at that time. So my question is whether it's possible for us to press pause on this lease decision and revisit in a month when plans around childcare and other support services might have a chance to move forward, so that we keep all options on the table for the needs of kids and families before this purpose. Long term, I'd love to see this used, obviously. So my question is it possible for us to simply move this back?
Certainly for the trustees, that's within your discretion as a board to make that call. If the question is about the tenant, they're hoping to start classes this week, but obviously it's within your authority as a board. Does that answer the question?
Did that answer your question, Trustee Decker?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, then I will entertain any motion that any trustee wants to make concerning whether or not to approve the lease agreement with Studio M.
I'll make a motion.
We need the
that
motion
we
first?
Regretfully push this back, table it for approximately a month's time, and revisit the lease at that time.
Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Trustee Lorenzen. So we have a seconded motion. Is there any board discussion? Trustee Mercer?
And I guess to me, it even comes up more in the East Missoula School, which is coming up next week. So to me, the giving away space question would track with that one, I guess. And if we are going to make an up or down on that one, because for them it would have to be before they start school, then I guess I'm wondering if some timing connected with that might make sense.
Any other board comment? Trustee Lorenzen?
I agree. This goes back to, we are an emergency. Let's act like it. Let's take every resource that MCPS has and apply it to MCPS children. I can't see us leasing out this space until at least we're in phase 2. I mean, these are very real concerns for families. So I think it just falls in line with, we've got to keep our resources for our kids right now. And everyone's in a pandemic. The leasee, everybody, we're all in the same boat. Let's all work together for the public schools.
Any other board comment? Trustee McDonald?
I'm just going to kind of go along with Trustee Mercer and Decker and Lorenzen. I think that just the same thing, where we don't know where we're at. We're asking, we've already passed that we're going to open up the school. There's a lot of parents that, that this is kind of a concern of theirs too, and I think would be kind of a slap in the face to take this away. So I'm just echoing what the other trustees said.
Any other public, Trustee Algaris?
Yeah, I'm going to go from the other side and say that, this is a business that we've been discussing with for a while. I understand the challenges that we have going forward, but I think if we delay, we will probably lose this potential tenant. There's a lot of space to be able to be leased in Missoula right now. We still have a lot of space. Jumbo obviously is another discussion. So this might be our chance to fill that space. And if not, that's a decision we'll have to live with. And so I trust Dr. Watson's recommendations. And so thanks.
Any other board comment? Any public comment? And Trustee Decker, is the motion to table the discussion of whether to lease the property until a later date? And could you restate your motion again, just so I know?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, so my motion is to table this item for at least 1 month, and regretfully notify the lessee that we are doing that. If that means that they move on, they move on. But for now, we're tabling, my motion is we revisit this a month from now when we might have a better sense of how we might want to use this space.
Thank you for clarifying. I just wanted to make sure that the public had a clear idea of what the motion that the board is or will be voting on. So any public comment? And I'll look to Hatton.
There doesn't appear to be any hands raised yet. I'm waiting to see if the owner of Studio M is interested in making a public comment, so just one moment. Yes, that owner indicates they would like to make a comment. So for the owner of Studio M, if you could please unmute yourself and state your full name and make your comment.
Hello, my name is Megan Hensley. It's MEAGENHENSLEY. Thank you so much for considering this. I understand that everybody's in a really crazy place right now, and us too, as a matter of fact. And we also, I just want to say, service the MCPS children, and we go along with actually everything the MCPS does as far as we're following your guidance as far as COVID and all those things. One thing I would like to say is that we are mostly opening from after school hours. So we wouldn't be open during the day. And if that was the case that we needed to share the space for extra classrooms, that is totally feasible from our end. Our classes tend to start at 3 p.m. And the majority of them start at 4. And also we're not using every single classroom within our wing. Pat had suggested that it was easier for us to rent the entire wing as opposed to just 3 rooms out of the wing. And right now, our plan is to just use 3 rooms initially for 2 different dance studios. So out of those 11 rooms, there's a lot more space still available in case the school needed them.
Thank you for that public comment. Is there any other public comment that you can see? I see Hatton shaking her head no. So at this point, all trustees in favor of the motion to table taking action to approve the lease agreement for at least 30 days, please indicate by raising your hand. And that is Trustee Lorenzen is voting for, and I apologize, Trustee Decker, you've disappeared from my computer screen. So I don't know if your hand is up. Oh, and Trustee Decker is voting for, and Trustee Mercer is voting for. So that is 3 trustees voting for. All trustees voting against the motion, please indicate by raising your hand. And that is, oh, sorry, it's elementary. I can't vote, so. Yeah, neither can Trustee Vogel. So all elementary trustees, thank you for clarifying that. Please again raise your hands. And that is Trustee Avgaris, Trustee Oldperson, and Trustee McDonald. So it's 3-3. So the motion doesn't pass.
Correct.
So at this point, I would entertain a different motion if anyone wants to make a motion, since we don't have any motion concerning this action item at this point. Trustee Lorenzen?
I move we revise the lease at this time to simply the 3 rooms in question, leaving the other 8 rooms available to MCPS.
I can bring that back to the lessee, and if that's the authorization I have from the board, could we do it in a motion to approve the lease with that modification? Then if it's acceptable, they can begin tenancy, if that's all right?
Yes, the motion is modified as stated by Pat. That we would approve the lease for 3 of the rooms at this time. So they can move forward with it, but we retain 8 rooms for potential use by MCPS, I would say until we enter phase 2.
And can I clarify, if the motion is to approve the lease space for the 3 rooms that they anticipate using, subject to their agreement to that modification. Would you be suggesting we could add this to the agenda next Thursday so it wouldn't delay their process too much? Well, oh, sorry.
Well, I think what Pat suggested was that we approve it with approve it now conditionally that they would accept that modification.
Okay, is there a second to this motion? Seconded by trustee Avgaris. Is there any board discussion? Trustee Mercer?
I think it's a reasonable compromise. I just would highlight to the administration, I think it's going to be a tougher call next time with Mount Jumbo. So I think you need to be able to tell us that you really, really, really don't need it.
Any other board discussion or comment? See none. Any public comment? I see Hatton shaking her head no. So all trustees in favor of the motion that's on the table, please indicate by raising your hands. Oh, sorry, still can't vote, sorry. So that is trustee McDonald, trustee Mercer, trustee Avgaris, trustee Oldperson, trustee Lorenzen, and is it Trustee Decker? Do you vote yes or no? I can't see it. She votes no?
No.
Okay, so it is all, so trustee McDonald, trustee Mercer, trustee Avgaris, trustee Oldperson, and trustee Lorenzen have voted yes, and trustee Decker has voted no. I stated that correctly to everyone here? Okay, so the motion does pass. And Pat, could you just give us an update, maybe at a future board meeting? And with that, we take public comment on non-agenda items for anyone who wasn't able to attend at the beginning of the meeting. So if it's a comment from the public about a non-agenda item, please make your comments now. And again, state your first and last name and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. And it's on any non-agenda item.
It does not appear that there's anybody making public comment at this point.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned, and thank you all for your attendance at the meeting tonight.